Hey, everybody, welcome to Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Tsoulianos, brought to you by the new edition of his book, The Bible of Bodybuilding 2, updated with more information than ever, training, nutrition, supplementation, PED use. And now, all the way from Athens, Greece, please welcome the doctor, Dr. T. George Tsoulianos. Hey, Doc, how are you?
Hello, Ron. So the new book, as I said, it has the cover with pictures from Ardenti and Bernal.
Oh, wow.
Shooting in California, yes. We have 30 extra Q&A from our show. And of course, I have all the pictures from my articles on muscular development, both online and print, of course, from anabolic work, from steroid abuse that I also had a small contribution, and from all the online interviews that we had. So it's part of my CV also.
Good.
The price is almost the same. And it's dedicated to my mother. You know, the other one was dedicated to my grandmother. So it's a huge book. It's around 650 pages, but
wow.
The text is up to 450. The next 200 pages is just, you know, showing my work and my efforts to my international career.
Right.
Pictures from my lectures at the Arnold, at the Olympia, you know.
Yeah.
That's all.
Cool. So last week, actually Friday, we're recording this on a Monday morning. Friday, late in the day, would have been actually early Saturday for you. The Arnold Classic list came out, and man, the two most highly rated guys, actually three favorites. I mean, there was only 7 guys on the list because Charles Griffin dropped out, but here's all the competitors. Sean Clarita, who is the 212 Olympia champion, Samson Dowda from UK, William Bonac, Akim Williams, Blessing Awodibu, Justin Rodriguez, and Kamal El-Garni, another 212 Olympia champion. So
yeah.
Very, very different Arnold lineup than ones we've seen the last few years, for sure.
Yeah, well, I think Sean Clarita is a very hot favorite, even though he's a small guy. He has in a very good shape after his reigning title.
Yeah.
And of course, Bonac, I believe he's going to make the three-peat.
Yeah. I mean,
all right. And I call it the day afterwards, he will retire, I guess.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. He told me also he wants to stay with his family. He's 40. You know, I told him do it with grace and glory. Otherwise, you know, you're going into the risk zone.
Yeah. Plus, if he wins, that's the perfect way to say goodbye.
Exactly. Yes.
That's how Lee Haney did it that way. 8 Olympias. He was
Dorian also.
Dorian, yeah. You go out on top. It's the best way.
You have to live in your prime.
People like to remember it that way.
Yeah, Samson Dowda is a really good guy in structural, but also Akim Williams is a beast.
Yeah.
All right. And then, of course, the guy from Libya also is not neglected because even though he's over 50, and he's also a hot favorite for the Masters.
Yeah, for sure.
He has I believe he's going to be top 5 for sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the call out I want to see, and everyone wants to see, just because it's going to be so different, is Sean Clarita and Samson Dowda, because Sean's about 178 pounds. Samson is about 298 pounds. It's going to be like a clash of the Titans. I don't know if you remember 93 Olympia. Remember Flavio Baccianini from Italy?
And Ferrigno, yeah.
And Ferrigno, that was the best. 4'11" and 6'5", whatever Louis is. That was crazy. So yeah, that's not far away. It's only less than 7 weeks away now. So we'll see. All right. Well, we got some great questions as always. First one, this is something I don't think we've ever touched on. Correct me if I'm wrong, but someone wants to know, is it safe for a diabetic person to use AAS, anabolic androgenic steroids, along with their insulin? What would be the safest stack?
Now, when you use anabolic steroids and you implement insulin, otherwise I can refer it as when you eat on TRT and you are a diabetic patient, you have to modify and adjust and lower actually your insulin dose because your insulin sensitivity improves with the steroids. The reason is because they burn fat, and also you build muscle that burns the glucose, so you have a less glycemia. So it's risky using the same amount of insulin because you're gonna have a hypoglycemia. Therefore, you can use a lower dose, but I would say just stick with testosterone.
Hmm.
because it's not a synthetic derivative. We know that it's a legitimate source. Now, an interesting fact is that the more anabolic a compound, and we can say this about Trenbolone, the higher the hypoglycemia because it crashes the catabolic cortisol, and cortisol is responsible for hyperglycemia. So stopping cortisol will lead to hypoglycemia. And actually, people injecting Trenbolone experience a little bit of hypoglycemia. So I would say don't use Trenbolone with insulin, because if you have the fear of going into hypoglycemia, it's really dangerous, and a coma. Just use the testosterone, which is a non-toxic compound. All right.
Yeah.
And that's all.
I wonder how many guys out there use Tren and insulin, bodybuilders. Not
Of course they do,
diabetic.
yes, but listen, they don't have this deficiency of insulin, so
Right.
it's risky using exogenous insulin, when your pancreas is not working.
Right. Okay. Next question, doctor. What is the way to administer HCG if I can only get my hands on Ovitrelle prefilled insulin syringe? It contains 250 micrograms per half milliliter. In other words, 6,500 IU. Is it okay to inject 0.04 ml twice a week while on TRT? And then it's a question about.
So listen, because we have this problem in Greece. In Greece, we used to have the Ovitrelle in clicks. In clicks, it was perfectly adjusted. One click was 250. 4 clicks were 1,000. Now, the new pen comes into a prefilled that is it's a half ml. Half a ml with 6,500, so 6,500, it's really dense.
Wow.
Now, this compound in a very tiny portion of a droplet, let's say, has to pass in an insulin syringe of half a ml. And this insulin syringe of a half a ml that contains the whole content has 10 lines. Therefore, each line is 650 IUs.
Right.
Therefore, if we split in 10 pieces that equals 1 line each, is 650 IUs. We can say that double of this amount is good for a weekly dose into replacement therapy to restore fertility.
Wow. So just tiny little one
Yeah,
twice a week.
Yeah. That's why we're importing off-label, of course, off the record,
Yeah.
Gonassi, which is HCG from Italy, which is really less concentrated, 1,000 IUs every 1 ml. Let's break it down, super easy.
Okay. His last question is, how long can you keep that syringe in the refrigerator for?
I guess one week the most, so use it frequently, just don't let it be there.
Okay. Next question. Yeah, I think we've gotten many variations on this question over the past couple of years about how much testosterone is needed to take a man from a 300 test score, that's his total, up to 800 nanograms per deciliter. I know other variables may apply and could be individually based, but just would like an idea because I'm aiming to be high normal levels within the reference range.
I guess that 150 or 200 milligrams depends on the body mass index.
Okay.
It's interesting what I'm saying, because I had a case of a guy who was 6'2", 240 into TRT, a retired bodybuilder. And he was into renal failure. He got a kidney transplant, and now he lost 20 pounds and he's 220. Now, with the same amount of testosterone, his levels are higher because his body cannot assimilate the same, because his body mass index is smaller.
Wow.
Therefore, he uses, let's say, 150 and he's over 1,000, while when he was 240, he was using 200, he was 800. Okay, so the less muscle you have, I guess, that is the higher your levels, So I guess this guy may depend on his body mass index. So to reach 800 or 1,000, you need less than 200 milligrams per week.
So you just made a pretty convincing argument, doctor, that people with a lot more muscle mass probably do need higher doses of gear.
Yes, but of course, we're talking about minor reports, okay? Not, let's say, 100 milligrams more, perhaps 50 milligrams more.
1,000 milligrams more. We don't get to talk training too much, so here's a good one. What is the best exercise for upper chest development? If you say flies, is there a safer option for older men with potential shoulder problems.
So I want to say flies shape the chest, okay? In order to build thick muscle, you just need the incline, Smith,
Or
which is
barbell.
much safer,
Yeah.
and you don't stretch your shoulders, okay? And the grip should be moderate, okay? Because if it's wide open, then you hurt a lot of you stress a lot of your shoulders, exactly.
Yeah.
So the Smith is really smooth and safe, and you can load a lot.
Yeah. You know what I love for upper chest past couple of years? You ever heard of landmines?
No.
So you take the bar, it's like a bar in the corner for T-bar rows, or you can put it up on a platform. So you're holding a bar, one end is on the ground, and then you're holding the sleeve of the Olympic bar, just like this. So you put the plate on, then you're just
Yes,
holding.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen you doing that.
Yeah, and you do that just there. For me,
Looks like CrossFit athletes. Yeah.
Yeah, but
for the inner chest, it's for the inner chest.
Yeah, I feel upper and inner, but yeah, for me it was always incline dumbbells. But now that I'm 53, Smith machine, like you said, shoulders. Yeah. It's the only thing my shoulder can stand anymore.
In Ben Francis, there is an excellent press incline. I mean, awesome machines. You don't understand at first glance what is this for, but you get inside like an astronaut, and just press. With Rick Collins. And actually, I have to admit that Rick is stronger than me in certain exercises.
Rick's he's a big, Rick's he's got 20-inch arms.
Rick is a beast.
Rick Collins. Let me ask you, Doc, you've been to some amazing gyms. You went to that one in Dubai, the Panada one, you went to Bev's, you went to Gold's Venice.
So in Bev's, you can do either machines or free weights.
Yeah. I'm saying when you go home back to your gym, this is what happens to me. I'm like, man, I wish I had I'm remembering all those cool machines I tried that we don't have any Panada or anything at my gym. I mean, do you get that when you go back to your own gym? You're like, man, I wish I had this or that I just tried.
But as Dorian said, if I had to train in a toilet, I would be Mr. Olympia.
He would too. Yeah, that gym was not fancy. I was there before they tore it down. Here we go. Blood thickness. Great health question. What do I have to do to lower my blood thickness? My Ddimer. What is Ddimer?
Ddimer is used during embolism, for instance. It's a factor that measures the clotting tendency.
Okay, so he says my Ddimer is 3.01 and the normal range is 0.50. What do I have to do? What medication or supplementation should I take?
So we have to deactivate the platelets. This is coming through aspirin, salicylic acid. But also in Greece, we have two generic names, Plavix and Syndrome, that actually act on the platelets, the thrombocytes. All right. And you have to be very careful when you shave and you cut it, because bleeding doesn't stop easily, especially if you have hemorrhoids, or ulcer. It's really nasty. But we measure the dimers under embolism, pulmonary embolism or a thrombotic stroke.
Yeah.
And this guy has to be really careful about his steroid use, because steroids affect the clotting. The blood becomes really thin, and you lose your tendency in order to stop the bleeding, and your ability, and also his hematocrit, because also on the other hand, they increase the viscosity. Yeah. So take it easy and just stick with testosterone.
So what about phlebotomizing? Like we talk about.
Phlebotomizing is good because you relieve and you make less viscous the blood. Okay. But speaking about this thing with INR or the dimers means that if you have a bleeding, the bleeding doesn't stop easily. Okay, because we need that also.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I remember the royal families of Europe supposedly.
Exactly. Yes.
They all had hemophilia because they were all like they were all breeding with each other, and that's like one little cut could kill them because they wouldn't stop bleeding. Yes. It would never clot.
Yes.
So it's no joke. All right. Next question. I'm on 100 milligrams test per week for TRT. What mass gains would you expect from 6 weeks of 100 tests per week plus 200 milligrams of nandrolone versus 200 milligrams of test and 100 milligrams of nandrolone? I'm a middle-aged man, have a calcium CA score. I hope he doesn't mean this is a calcium score. 102. That's very high. And my LDL is controlled around 60 to 70 with rosuvastatin.
So the short answer is, please stick on the replacement therapy, forget about the gear, and keep on taking your statin. That's all.
What calcium score of 102? That seems
Come on, out of the question.
Is that even real? Is that like, you think he's like kidding?
Yeah, it's elevated, but if it is true, then stop taking any gear and just use testosterone, and also take your statin. I would prefer if the calcium score was 0 and you have an LDL of 150, let's say. But now things are getting hard, and so it's forbidden taking any anabolic steroid with a calcium score.
Okay, fair enough. Our final question comes from a guy who's always on my live videos, so I want to give him a shout out, Alberto Montejo. Alberto, he's asking about how things might be different if insulin would never brought into bodybuilding in the first place. All things being equal, without the introduction of insulin in the sport, what would be the difference in top tier muscle weight gains? In other words, e.g., a professional bodybuilder adding 25 pounds of muscle in 10 months looks like cosmetic fluid or stored glycogen.
No, it's not just a fluid, because insulin improves the mTOR. And this means that leucine and the amino acids, but also BCAAs and leucine, increase the rush into the muscle. And this is how muscle hypertrophy, because insulin is a nourishing hormone feeding the muscle. So not just fluid. Of course, there is fluid, but also GH goes to relates to fluid, and steroids to aldosterone. But insulin feeds the muscle. And as the same as our own pancreas releases insulin. That's why we eat post-workout hyperglycemic carbs and, of course, protein in order to nourish the muscle. Of course, some of this retention and weight gain is fluid, but a little bit of portion is also muscle as well. So it's not just fake.
I mean, if that was the case, we'd see them go up and down all the time, and they don't really do that. But yeah, I mean, how much bigger do you think guys are now because of insulin? I mean, the 90s.
It's synergistic, the effect. So it's insulin or either insulin or IGF-1. I would say they're using IGF-1, growth hormone, anabolic steroids, follistatin, mechanism growth factor, so all of them. So we cannot just isolate how much contributes to insulin. But if there's somebody that old-fashioned just uses steroids, and the modern guys that use also the growth factors, I would say, even Lee Haney was using G8s from cadavers. Even, I mean, synthetic also, because it was the mid-80s. You can say that the body of Frank Zane is just purely on steroids. Arnold allegedly was using also from cadavers or chimps. We cannot say for sure, but yeah, some people in the 80s were not using, insulin changed the game after the 90s. We can see that it was becoming really round and loaded.
Yeah, well, I can give an example of a local guy I know. I won't say his name, don't worry. But I remember he was on first he was natural for years. Then I remember he went on steroids. For about 3 years, he was just using steroids, no growth hormone, no insulin. And he was competing around 210, 212. And this is a guy who's about 6 foot tall.
That's not a lot.
No, it's not.
It's not big, yeah.
He took a year off. No, he was maybe 215, but still 6 foot tall. He took a year off and he added in growth hormone and insulin. And when he came back, he was competing at about 230, 235. So it's about 20 pounds of muscle he put on.
Within a year? Within a year,
just from adding insulin and growth hormone that he had never. So yeah, it definitely works. Definitely works. So that is all our questions. Those are proper grammar. Those are all our questions for this week. Guys, the new edition of the Bodybuilding Bible 2 is out. Get your orders. You can get that on gtoul.com. You can get that on amazon.com. Amazon's where we buy all our stuff these days. And also follow the doctor on Instagram at Dr. George Tsouliatos. And that's it. We thank you guys so much for watching. And doctor, thank you so much for taking the time once again.
2 more shows, huh?
Yeah, we're at one. This is 198, right? No, this is this 197 or 198?
198.
Okay, yeah. I'm always like
I can't believe this is a milestone of 200. Unbelievable.
Yeah, man. Imagine that.
4 years, Ron, right?
Yeah, we're still we got to talk to that person about making him a guest. Let's not say the name because we don't want to let people down, but we got to get him confirmed. So yeah, that'd be cool if we can get him though, huh? All right, guys. Thanks for watching Ask Dr. Testosterone. Subscribe, like, share, do all that good stuff. Turn on notifications. We appreciate your viewership, and we'll see you right here next time. Thanks for watching. Hey, did you like that video? Smash that like button, subscribe to MD, and please comment down below. Thanks for watching.